Struggling to get 3 stars at Town Hall 15? Well, these 5 armies are what you need to 3-star any base. Starting at number 5, we have the Mass Miner Attack. This is a super simple strategy that takes advantage of the life gems buff, which makes each troop insanely tanky. To kick things off, we want to start by funneling. We're going to be using the Siege Barrack on one side with your King and Queen on the other. With the Siege Barrack, you want to make sure that you use a Baby Dragon to control pathing, but also using that Siege Barrack with a Super Wall Breaker in order to hopefully get into compartment. If not, it's completely fine. But for your heroes, you're going to be using your Barbarian King and Archer Queen. I do recommend using the Queen with her Giant Arrow in case there are invisibility spell towers in the core of the base. This allows you to deal with them without any issues. However, I would still recommend the Healer Puppets with the Magic Mirror otherwise. Other than that, your King and Queen are going in to clear as many defenses with the Spiky Ball and Earthquake Boots from the King and the Archer Queen's combos to get plenty of great value. This is going to establish 2 sides of your funnel so you can spam in your mass miners. Pretty much from there, you're going to spam in your mass miner with the Royal Champion and the Grand Warden with his life gem. From here, you pretty much have a plethora of spells to use. You have Overgrowth in order to create more pathing and to possibly avoid the Town Hall Poison. Otherwise, heal spells are great to use early on. A Grand Warden ability early is also essential in order to protect all of your troops, but you can also use a Rage spell in order to push the mass miner through the base and moving from building to building. Otherwise, just continue to use your heal spells to keep your mass miner topped off and healed while using free spells over splash damage defenses. This should keep a majority of your army alive, and with plenty of heal spells, free spells, and of course the Overgrowth spell, you'll be able to very easily overwhelm the entire rest of the base, which is why this strategy is surprisingly strong after the life gem buff. At number 4, we have the Mass Super Hog Army. With the Royal Champion Charge still being so strong and with the buff to the Life Gem, the Mass Super Hogs still remains a top choice for most bases. Now to start this attack, we're going to be starting with a Royal Champion Charge. But instead of using the Haste Vial, we're going to be running the Hog Puppets. So this Royal Champion Charge is purely designed to help funnel. So each time we use our invisibility spells, we want to time them every 4 seconds. So you are going to be using them back to back to get the most out of them, especially since at Town Hall 15 here, you don't have the Spirit Fox. However, don't fret because you can still turn buildings invisible and get damage off of them with the Electro Boots. However, you do want to make sure that you are recalling the Royal Champion after you used all of your invisibility spells. With the Royal Champion Charge completed, that's going to create one side of your funnel, which is going to help your heroes get into the base, where you're going to have the Ice Golem with the King, Queen, and Apprentice Warden to get more value off of the base. Now, you do need to make sure that you are cutting off the other side of your funnel, so using Yetis and Valkyries are perfect in order to help clear out buildings, allowing you to have a lot more control with your troops. Other than that, you're going to make sure you deal with the enemy CC with no problems, and of course you're going to be using the troop launcher with this. This allows you to support your heroes quite well with ice golems at the ready in order to both help slow down defenses and protect your heroes, with your king being able to open walls and your queen being able to do sufficient damage underneath a rage spell. The ice golems provide plenty of support for her to clear even more buildings, which then allows you to start your super hogs. Now, with your Super Hogs going in, you're going to have your recalled Royal Champion and, of course, the Grand Warden to push in. This is pretty much going to give them a ton of HP to work with, and you also have a couple regular Hog Riders to control the pathing of your Super Hog Riders. This allows you to get plenty of great value in the process. You should use an early heal spell in order to keep everything protected, and of course, as you move a little bit deeper into the base, especially around the core, you want to use your Grand Warden Eternal Tome in order to protect everything. This then allows you to use your Hog Puppets from your Royal Champion and of course another back-end heal spell to keep everything protected. For the most part, you should be able to have more than enough super hogs, maybe some regular hog riders, some of the super riders themselves working and clearing out buildings, and this should allow you to 3-star most bases more often than not, as it is just completely able to overwhelm most bases. As for number 3, we have to add the Fireball Super Witch army. This army is still very strong on most bases, and with the help of druids or healers, you can easily clear any base. Now with this attack, we're going to be starting with the Grand Warden, where we can let him walk on the outside, and with the use of the unicorn on him, we don't have to worry about him taking too much damage. Overall, we are using the druids with this, so we're going to be using a recall spell. This allows us to have a lot of easy control with him. Of course, once we've cleared some outside defenses, we can use our invisibility spells and the fireball to quickly clear a compartment. We can then continue to let him walk, clear out some additional buildings before being recalled. Our Archer Queen, on the other hand, is going to be used in order to cut off the funnel. This way, the Warden Walk is able to establish its own funnel and clear an entire compartment, while the Queen is able to get a couple more buildings while also having her Magic Mirror and Healer Puppets to have a lot of survivability, while also being able to do a lot of damage to plenty of key defenses, which then controls your Super Witches right the way into the base. Now from there, you've got your Super Witches, the recalled Warden, and then you're going to start to sprinkle in your Druids while still having the Barbarian King and Super Wall Breakers to open the base up. In this case, you want to sprinkle in your Druids every so often to keep the healing going. Underneath Rage, they're going to do plenty of work, especially under the Rage gem. Other than this, you want to make sure that you're getting into the core of the base and using the Earthquake Boots and Spiky Ball to open up a larger area. Having the Troop Launcher with Ice Golems is incredibly good for this, as it will keep all of your Super Witches alive. Other than this, you're going to continue to work through the base with a jump spell to get towards the back end. As for your Royal Champion, you're going to use her on the back end. Even if she has to clear the Town Hall, for the most part, you'll be able to do that just fine with the Electro Boots and either the Hog Puppets or having the Rocket Spear and the Seeking Shield equipped. Other than this, you're really just going to let your Super Witches along with the Druids in bear form to just overwhelm the final remaining buildings. This is really just going to keep everything moving, and you'll be able to very easily 3-star with a strategy like this. And you don't really need to worry about cleanup too much, as long as you take a couple cleanup troops in order to successfully 3-star most bases. At number 2, we have the Mass Invisibility Mass Dragon Army. This army is still super effective and one of the best ways to run dragons, especially with the value you can clear with the Haste Vial. Now, to keep things simple, we're going to be obviously starting with a Royal Champion charge. This one is using a ton of spells. So for the most part, we want to make sure that we are timing our invisibility spells every 4 seconds. This way, we're able to get plenty of great value from our Royal Champion as she moves from defense to defense. And again, you don't really need to worry about the particular defense as the Electro Boots exist. So you're going to be able to do constant damage while those buildings are invisible. Of course, you do want to make sure that you are using your Royal Champion's Haste Vial around the core of the base. This is going to speed up your Royal Champion charge quite significantly, while also applying a lot more damage in the process. Compared to running the Rocket Spear with this, you're going to get a lot better value, and it's going to be way quicker while being able to deal with plenty more defenses. Other than that, you should be able to clear more than enough value for you to then move on to the next phase of your attack. Now, with the Royal Champion charge completed, you then want to use your Archer Queen with her giant arrow to snipe down at least one air defense or even a sweeper. This is going to allow you to clear plenty of great value, which then allows your Queen to get more defenses and buildings down towards the back end. Having a couple additional healers helps her with dealing with a lot more damage and even dealing with the enemy CC. Other than this, we're going to want to then send in our dragons with, of course, the Grand Warden, the Stone Slammer, and the Minion Prince. This is going to basically be the entire rest of your attack, where you have one spell, the Rage spell, in order to use with your dragons. Other than that, you do want to make sure to use the Grand Warren ability around the core of the base along with the Minion Prince's Dark Orb in order to slow down all these defenses, which then lets you use a rage spell to power all of your dragons through, clearing plenty of defenses in the process and just being able to very simply smash a lot of these bases down. This is by far the easiest and simplest strategy that you can run, especially if you are a fan of using dragons, since this strategy will 3-star a majority of the time. And currently, the best army is the Root Rider Minion Prince strategy. This army is basically unstoppable, and with the help of the new troop launcher, your healers are practically never gonna die. Now, for this attack strategy to be super effective, you're going to be starting with a very short Royal Champion charge, which means you're going to use the haste vial early. So this means you need to be quick on your toes with the invisibility spells. But again, don't worry if you are turning buildings invisible, because you're going to be doing constant damage. If you don't get nearly as much, as long as you create a solid funnel, that is all that you really need to do. Your queen is going to be used on the other side with a couple super barbarians, but of course you want to make sure that what she's doing is clearing out the other side of your funnel. You want to create two different sides where one you have the Royal Champion charge and the other is your queen. She can deal with the enemy CC quite easily, and you can use something like wizards in order to help clear the other side, especially if there are no buildings on the outside and they're all tucked away in the base. Other than this is going to give you the blueprint to establishing your funnel, which then gives you plenty of time to use your Root Riders and Valkyries for easy success. And with that said, you're going to be sending in the Root Riders, Valkyries, the Minion Prince healers, and obviously the balloons in order to soak up any Seeking Airmines early on. Now, with the troop launcher, you are taking balloons with this. For the most part, this is going to allow you to just keep your healers alive. Now, with the Dark Orb, it can also activate Invis Towers. So this allows you to get a little bit deeper into the base and use the Grand Warren ability while being able to just smash the Town Hall. You don't even need an overgrowth for this. And otherwise, you should have plenty of spells in order to completely overwhelm the entire core of the base. This also really allows you to have druids from your troop launcher in order to continue the healing going, not just having the healers. Other than that, you're pretty much going to just overwhelm the base with no problems, which is why this strategy is just incredibly strong and super overkill, especially with the new siege machine. Now, hopefully each of these attacks give you the most success in 3-starring at Town Hall 15. But if you want to see a full guide on the mass Super Hog army, check this video out right here.